Madam Deputy Speaker, and can I add my voice to those who paid tribute to the speech of the Honourable Lady? And she said she wasn't asking the House for sympathy, but she has the sympathy of the House, and I'm sure of anybody who watched that, who will watch her speech on film, which I hope many people will do. And my heart goes out to her for all that she's been through. I also hope more people see my honourable friend's from Reigate's speech. Deserves very wide circulation. He's a tremendous campaigner on many issues, not of all of which I join in with him on, but I sympathise on with what he's trying to do today, and I particularly acknowledge and want to add my voice to his point about the suffering of our veterans. And as the member for a large military community, I echo that. Too many of our former service people suffer appallingly from PTSD, and we need to do more to help them, and this might be part of the answer. And the Honourable Lady and the Honourable Gentleman both cited studies suggesting that the efficacy of psilocybin is similar or superior to that of pharmaceutical interventions, SSRI drugs in particular, and I think that's very, very significant, and I do think that we need to research, more research, to test that, because if true, it is tremendously positive news, because crucially, the evidence suggests psilocybin is not dependency forming. It's not toxic, and it doesn't form dependency. And I speak as the chair of the all-party parliamentary group on prescribed drug dependency. And the research done by colleagues supporting that APPG has laid bare the degree of dependence on prescribed drugs that exist in our country. We're not talking about illegal drugs here, we're talking about drugs administered by doctors, generally in response to mental health conditions, to depression, most of all. And a fifth of the adult population is on some sort of dependency-forming drug, such as SSRIs. Many of those absolutely appropriately, and the Honourable Lady mentioned that she takes an SSRI, but that is a very high rate. And crucially, and I think most worryingly, the fact is that many people who are taking prescribed drugs were only prescribed them according to the guidance that accompanies these drugs. They were only prescribed for a certain number of months, and yet because doctors repeat prescriptions and because we have such an inadequate system of withdrawal support for people in this country, they are prescribed these drugs for years and years, well beyond the healthy and safe guidance that was given. And of course, if they try and withdraw on their own without the support that they need, they suffer terribly and often then re-prescribe the drugs because the doctor thinks they're having a relapse, and actually all that they're doing is going through the agonies of withdrawal. So we need to do so much more to support people who take these prescribed drugs. There's also a huge bill. I mean, at least £500 million a year is spent on prescribed drugs for people who the prescription has gone beyond its the period of the guidance. So, as it were, should not be receiving these drugs, doing so and costing the taxpayer £500 million a year. You think of the knock-on effect in terms of health costs. My honourable friend mentioned huge figures there, welfare costs, and of course the human cost. So we need to go beyond these pills. We need to get to an approach to mental health that doesn't only rely on what my honourable friend calls the chemical kosh. Of course, I have some concerns about psilocybin being the next big thing, the next SSRI, then treated and imagined as if it's going to be some new silver bullet, another pill, another shortcut to what is profoundly complex set of mental health circumstances, which derive in many cases from trauma, in many cases from deep-rooted adverse social and emotional conditions, which can't just be wished away by the administration of a new pill.
But can
I'm very happy to give way to my friend. I'm about to come and rebuke my own argument there, but he'll do it better than me. Go on.
Well, no, I'm just going to say, my honourable friend was kind enough to reference the work that has already gone on, and I could cheerfully read into the record that I think I'll list of 15 separate studies here, where the evidence is gradually, despite the Schedule 1, gradually being developed about efficacy, which addresses obviously his very proper concern that this is another mythical silver bullet that will solve the issue. There is only one way for us to fully establish this, but it's already evidentially established sufficiently that we should be doing everything we possibly can to enable this treatment to get underway.
When I echo that point, and the point I'm making more generally is I'm concerned we withdraw from a medicalised model, which I think it's a bigger topic, but the way we approach health in general can often be over-medicalised, but particularly the mental health field. And I echo the point made by my honourable friend that we have sufficient evidence now to justify a more official review, and I support the call for that. And what I understand, and the honourable lady put the point very well, what we understand to be the case from psilocybin is that it creates this therapeutic window in which talking therapies can then be even more effective, or can be effective, because often, frankly, they're not at the moment. So if the administration of this non-toxic, naturally occurring substance can create an opportunity in which a talking therapy can be effective, then that's something that should be welcomed, and there is sufficient evidence to justify us to look at that. So I support the call, particularly for open suggestions. Interested to hear what the Minister says, not from his script, about what might be done, and it might well be that the Chief Medical Officer is the best as an office to review this. We do need to be very careful. I do retain my note of caution about leaping forward for another solution that might not deliver what we hope it will, but I also share the hope and the aspiration that members have mentioned. I do recognise the point, and I don't know whether the Minister will make it, that it is possible to conduct research under Schedule 1, but as I think my honourable friend said, it's very difficult, it's very expensive, and in fact it's usually just done by the pharmaceutical companies who see the opportunity for big profit from some new drug, and I'm very concerned that we don't class this research in that guise, and in fact I hope there won't be big profits to be made from this naturally occurring substance. And again, it's another topic, but I'm concerned about the MHRA, the way it's funded, the way it licenses treatments. I'm not entirely sure that we're doing the right thing by giving it the power to rubber stamp licenses that have been given abroad. I'm not sure that speeding up approvals is always right. But I think in this case we do need to conduct this research. And I find myself in a strange position, not only of agreeing with my honourable friend, which I do agree with him on many important matters, not others, but also that we're taking evidence from or we're taking inspiration from places like Oregon and Colorado, which I regard as unhelpful places in terms of other things that they're up to. They're the leading jurisdictions promoting assisted suicide, which I strongly disapprove of. I notice Australia is also in the gang. Presumably Canada will be, if not already, full steam ahead for psilocybin. So anyway, Liberals don't get everything wrong, I suppose, is my conclusion, because these places, I think, are paving the way, and in this case, we should follow it. Thank you.
SNP spokesman Martin Doherty-Hughes.